I'm Emily.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the Sasser House. Today we are at Breeden's Orchard here in Middle Tennessee. You can see a little bit of the orchard right here behind us. I'm pretty sure these are some of their peach trees, but correct me if I'm wrong. We don't grow fruit trees, so we're still learning about those.
Not yet.
Not yet. But they have a ton of apple trees, and they don't allow you to pick them yourself, but they pick them, they bring them in to their market, and they let you grab a half a peck or a whole peck or a bushel of apples. And I have done this for the past couple of years, and now we want to bring y'all along on the journey as well.
Okay, let's go check out the store.
I have a lot of plans for the apples that we get today. I want to make a big old batch of applesauce because we love applesauce, and a big old batch of apple jelly because that is Chris's favorite, and I've never made it before.
I think it's my favorite. I remember it from my childhood, so we've got to try it.
Yeah, hopefully I can make it as good as your memories.
Well, I'm sure it was just something you bought at Walmart, so I'm sure yours will be a lot better.
Oh, good. All right, we're home from Breeden's Orchard, and it's actually the next day. We were going to do a recap of everything we got after we left, but it was really loud in there, so we thought it would be better to just do it at home. But they have so many cute little things in the market, handmade by different vendors, everything from jams and jellies to bowl covers, tea towels. I mean, it's a really cute place. If you live anywhere around Middle Tennessee, we definitely recommend checking out Breeden's. So we have our big old bag. This is about 12 pounds of Honeycrisp apples. We're going to use these to make our apple sauce. Then we have got our gallon jug of the apple cider that they make at Breeden's, and we're going to use this to make our apple cider jelly. We've already eaten some of the other apples that we got as well. We got Honeycrisp, we got Jonagold, I think is what they're called. We got a Pixie Crisp, which sounds so cute. We got all different kinds, and some of them are like so massive. This is, I think this was the Jonagold, I think. And this is the Pixie Crisp. The Pixie Crisp are supposedly 2 times as sweet as Honeycrisp, but they're itty bitty. And you can see how small they are compared to this apple. So we haven't tried these yet, but I'm really excited to get to try them. We also got an apple cider slushie while we were there, which was delicious. And I already put this to good use. This is another thing I got yesterday. So this is a bowl cover when you're proofing dough. And it looks like Chris thought it was a shower cap. He thought it was a shower cap, but it's a little bowl cover, and these are handmade, and I reckon I can do it either way. It's reversible, and it just has this nice elastic. It fits right over your bowls, so while your dough is proofing, it just goes on there, and it's reusable. You can wash it. Usually I use plastic wrap or I'll use tea towels, but this is so much better. I've always wanted one. I've just never treated myself to it. Now we are back home in the kitchen, and the first thing we're gonna do is get started on our apple cider jelly. So when you're making apple jelly, you can boil your apples in water, and you can put them, in a jelly bag and let them drip overnight and make homemade apple juice. I don't have time for that. We're not going to do all that, but you can if you want to. But you can also do a quick apple jelly, which is what we're going to do today, which is where you just use apple juice. But to elevate ours a little bit, we're going to use apple cider instead of apple juice, and we're going to make apple cider jelly. I'm so excited to taste this. I know it's going to be absolutely delicious. I'm going to shake this up before I get going. And y'all, I invested in a new pot. And I can't really say invested because I got it at an estate sale yesterday. I have needed a deep stock pot for so long. Y'all have seen me just about boil over a ton of jam and jelly right here on this stove in my pots that are way too small, and now we finally have a big one. So I'm really excited to get to put that to good use. It was only $7, so I guess it paid off that I waited. I'm doubling this recipe, so I'm gonna need 8 cups of apple cider. All right, I've got 8 cups in my pot, and I'm gonna start bringing that to a boil. We also need to add in 2 containers of fruit pectin. This is just the original fruit pectin. If you want to do a low sugar version of this apple jelly, then I'm sure there's recipes online for that, but that ain't the kind we're gonna do. So we're just gonna open that up and get that incorporated in with our apple cider. So our cider and our pectin is at a full rolling boil, and now we have to add our sugar. I doubled this, so it's 10 cups. It's 10 cups. And you do want to measure it all beforehand because you want to add it all in at one time. So we're just going to dump this in and let it boil hard for 1 more minute. So once this comes back up to a full rolling boil, we want to stir it constantly while it boils for 1 minute. Okay, I'm glad I did the deep pot. I was thinking, oh, I didn't need to do this. This could have been one of the recipes that I did in one of my small pots. No, because look how much it bubbles up. It bubbles up like crazy. So we're just stirring this, and we're gonna stir it constantly for the next minute, and then we get to fill our jars. I've had our half pints over here simmering in our boiling water bath canner, and now I'm just gonna remove these and start filling them. When you're working with jams and jellies, they set really quick. So you wanna make sure everything stays nice and hot, and you can do this in a timely manner. That way, nothing starts to set up on you. We have the perfect amount of jelly for 13 half pints. So we're gonna lower them in, and they only take 5 minutes to process. 5 minutes is up, so I'm gonna turn the eye off, and then we're gonna remove this lid. Always remove it away from you because you can see all that steam, unless you want a good old-fashioned facial. So now we're gonna let this sit for another 5 minutes so that we don't shock them going from boiling hot water to the normal room temp. Look how good it looks. Our apple cider jelly is done, and now we are gonna get started on applesauce, which is gonna be a little bit more of a process than the jelly because we're actually starting with apples, whole apples that haven't been processed, whereas this time we were starting with already processed apple cider. So I'm gonna get these out of our canner. These will have to sit for 24 hours before we check for tight seals. But Chris is going to show you a new contraption that we bought to peel, core, and slice these apples to try and cut our processing time in probably more than half.
Okay, for our applesauce, we got this little apple peeler, and I want to show you guys this contraption. It's going to help save so much time with this project. So you just kind of slide it right into the core, then you just spin it till it gets to here, and it starts shaving off all of the skin. And then right here is slicing the apple. Then when it comes through here, now this will all just slide off.
That is crazy.
And then you've got all your apple. And then I will just go through and slice this up.
And Chris is putting the apples into a bowl of cold water with a half a teaspoon of Ball's fruit fresh preserver powder. I'll put it down below. It says like prevents fruit from browning. So what you're supposed to do is treat these apples in a solution of water and some of that powder, and then that way your apples won't turn brown. So we're gonna continue this until we get all 12 pounds into the solution, and then we'll drain it, and then we can start our applesauce. So these have been soaking in a liquid treated with that Ball fruit browning prevention stuff. I don't know exactly the name of it. I'm just gonna use my hands because every time I go to dump these, it almost dumps out into my sink. So I have a colander down here in my sink that I am putting these into. And then we're going to take our colander with our apples right over here and dump it in our big old stock pot. So our apples have boiled down significantly. When we put them in here, you saw they were kind of up here, and now they're all the way down there boiling, and they are nice and soft. So I think it's time to bring them off the heat, let them cool for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're just gonna puree them up in our blender to make our applesauce. So I'm just ladling our soft apples into our blender. You can use a food processor as well, but since we're doing such a big batch, I wanna use the biggest machine that I've got. So we're just gonna pour this right back into our stock pot, and now we're gonna add any flavoring. So if you don't want any flavorings, and if you don't even wanna add sugar, you can literally can it right now. But I think we're gonna add a little bit of sugar and some cinnamon, because Chris loves cinnamon in his applesauce. So the recipe that I'm following calls for 3 cups of sugar. It's optional. I really don't want to do all 3 cups, but Chris wants me to follow the recipe.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're gonna add in 4 teaspoons of cinnamon, and then we need to add 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. This applesauce smells delish, and it is the perfect consistency. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad we added the cinnamon. I haven't tasted it yet. I need to, but we also just need to get these jars into the canner so we can taste any leftover that we have. So all we're gonna do is put our hot sauce into our hot jars, and we're gonna fill it up to 1/2 inch headspace. Okay, I've got our last jar in, and I ended up doubling up on our rows so that we can process all of this all at one time. So I'm just gonna put the lid on, and it has to process for 20 minutes, and then we'll have home canned applesauce. And here's a look at all that we accomplished in the kitchen together. We got 12 jars of apple cider jelly and 20 jars of applesauce. I'm so excited to have both of these products on the pantry shelf. We've tasted both of them already, and they love it. We had our niece and nephew over, and my niece Dottie was really hungry for a snack. And so I asked her if she wanted applesauce. I was able to open up one of these. So we've already been digging into them. But I opened one up, and she took one bite, and she said, "Can you make that again?" And she really loved it. So that was really special for me. So I'm really excited to have these on the shelf and give them away as gifts. If you have thought about getting into canning, you should absolutely do it. And something like an apple jelly is a great place to start, because you can just go to the grocery store, get sugar, pectin, and juice, and make homemade jelly. That would be a great place to start. Or go to your local orchard like we did and get this stuff from there. We love y'all so much. We're so thankful to have you on this journey with us. If you like this video, please consider subscribing for all things home, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.